Welcome everyone to the first episode of Issues and Answers for the 2010-2011 school year. My name is Lynn Fields. I am the principal of the high school, and I will be hosting this episode. On this show, we will discuss topics that Wissahickon students feel are issues in and around our high school. The students give their opinions on these issues, and my job is to try and provide an explanation. With me are 8 students representing Wissahickon High School. Now let's have the students introduce themselves.
Hi, my name is Marissa Dow and I'm a senior.
Hi, I'm Zach and I'm a sophomore.
Hi, I'm Max and I'm a sophomore.
Hi, I'm Mandy and I'm a junior.
Hi, I'm Eric and I'm a freshman.
Hi, I'm Holly and I'm a freshman.
Hi, I'm Savannah. I'm a sophomore.
It's great to have you all here. Let's start the discussion. The topics are the use of electronics and the internet. Let's begin.
Okay, so with the internet, I feel that the school, the protection that we have, the Barracuda, it's really intense. Just to even get on our emails, we have to sign in order to send something to someone else, and it just becomes a really big hassle.
And that's because every time you are not using it for any period of time, Barracuda comes on, or every time you have to link up with a particular website.
It's like with particular websites more than anything.
There's now a stronger board policy approved. Technology is all approved by the board. We tried to get a handle. There's so much technology out there. It's moving faster than I think any of us can keep up with, although I'll say that anybody my age can keep up with. I have a feeling that all of you can stay up to speed much more readily than I. But the board, since they are putting a great deal of money out for technology, one of the things that they need to do is to have some control over the sites. The sites that they want you to be on are predominantly educational sites, although they vary. It's interesting, sometimes I'm sure you can put in a particular word and it's amazing the sites that you find yourself on unexpectedly. Barracuda is used to try and kind of guard from certain sites that are offensive or are just not appropriate sites for any of us to be on. So as much as at the time it's causing us some concern, and believe me, the same thing happens to me. I go crazy in the office when I try to get on the internet and Barracuda comes up. But I think until we work out some of the problems with it, we'll just have to bear with it, and hopefully it'll get faster, it'll get better for us, and maybe they'll take some of the safety mechanisms, they'll relax them a little bit. All right. But good question, good point.
Was Facebook one of the main reasons that Barracuda is now here?
Not necessarily. Although, you can read in the paper and you listen to all of the news, and there's pluses and minuses. It's a wonderful site in terms of network and in terms of really staying current with old friends and new friends. I don't think Facebook is really the opportunity that we want to provide students during the school day, because let's face it, little pun there, if in fact we had the opportunity and you could dialogue with friends, I think we would all want to do that, as opposed to really spending the time that we need you to do to research and problem solve and those kinds of things. It wasn't the major factor. The major factor is really to get a handle on what we need to be doing and to control some of the sites that tend to be able to get into our network. So no, Facebook was not, but I'm sure it did play some part.
Does Barracuda specify the website, like if someone was to type in like Facebook, or does it go by keywords?
I don't know a whole lot as to why it was set up in a certain way. We would have to get our Director of Technology, Mr. John McGowan, to come in, and he's very versed on it. My belief is that it was set up so that we could maintain educational sites and that we would freely access those more readily than just sites that would come up that would not be educationally related. I know at one time this summer I tried to get on a World Wildlife kind of site, and I had to call and say, I'm researching something, so therefore this was an important site. And that was when they were attempting to list the sites that we would use in the educational community. So I'm not real versed on all of the issues around Barracuda, but we could certainly bring Mr. McGowan in to further the discussion.
Okay, my question is off of internet and onto technology.
Okay.
Directly about cell phones. Lunch is like the only time that we're really given social time to be with our friends. It's just the only non-educational point throughout the day, and we are still in school, but since it is the only social 30 minutes that we're allotted in our 7-hour day here, why is it that cell phones are completely barred from lunch?
That's an excellent question. I think I could answer it very quickly and say, well, technology, because of how it's moving and how it's used, is one aspect that we have to look at. I think cell phones are an issue, as with all technology. Some students have it, some students want certain things, and there's a lot of danger in having the technology because of you know, they see something and before you know it, you put the phone down and then the phone disappears and those kinds of things. One of the things we are looking at, and please don't quote me or don't use this, but we are looking at some cell phone use in specific zones or specific areas. So we are presently, as an administrative team, researching how other high schools may be addressing that issue. And you know, I'm not saying it will come into be this year, but you know, we recognize that cell phones are part of this generation and part of your being. So we need to look at the appropriate use, and if there is a way within a high school in certain areas that we would allow it. But right now we're in a research stage. Ideas that you have, are there any that come to mind?
Well, I think that certain times, like lunches, or maybe certain points throughout the day when most students like study hall, when you have a study hall, you could be allowed in whatever area that was like found to be a good place where it can be monitored well, and just making sure kids are doing the right things and nothing's getting stolen. Study halls and lunches will probably be a fair time.
How do you think as students you would address, say, if there were a high degree of theft or, you know, lost or stolen cell phones?
Well, sorry. I think that like the rate wouldn't go up or down because kids, whether or not they're using them, had them on them. So like, yeah, they're in our hands versus in our pockets, but the likelihood that they'll be stolen probably would not be that much more. It might be less since we're actually paying more attention to them at those times, so we would have a better track of where they actually are.
If we did it in study halls, in terms of the purpose of study halls, often it's to, you know, kind of review or prepare for a test or whatever. How would we respond to, you know, would it be a merit system? If you're passing, you get to use. I mean, you know, it's some questions that I would have. I'd be interested in students that might put together a proposal and maybe make some suggestions. So I'm open to that. I think the issues are pretty much in terms of lost, stolen kinds of things, and also, you know, if the communication with cell phones were to be used in an appropriate way or effective way. You know, there's also the whole issue of cyberbullying, and you're all familiar with that. It's becoming a very huge topic of discussion. You know, local law enforcement, by the time you're even a year or two years from now, it's going to become a very influential kind of position for the law to deal with. There are some laws now going on the books, so you know, that's another thing that opens that up. If you allow that, you know, how do we regulate what people are saying about and towards other people? So, but I will tell you, I'm open to hearing what students think and a proposal that they might develop on the topic. A good question.
Go ahead.
Maybe for like the first 5 or 10 minutes of study hall, if someone's getting good grades in school, they could be able to use their cell phone.
Maybe an average grade. Or
Yeah,
above.
like a merit system
Yeah,
that would
merit system.
encourage, and it might encourage other students to do well.
I
It's a
know.
possibility.
I know my friend's school, she actually doesn't live in Pennsylvania, but
Mm-hmm.
the school that she goes to, they have a lounge that's set up just for them to use their cell phones and other electronics. So if you have decent enough grades and you're doing well in school, you can go to the lounge during your study hall, and they have like couches and stuff set up, plus they also have computers in there. So if you need to do homework or anything like that, you can use your cell phone on top of being able to access the computers for schoolwork.
I'd be interested if you could get, if they have, a position paper or a rationale for that, if maybe they could send us, we could take a look at that. That is something what I alluded to earlier, that we are going to look at, but we need to do a little research on it, so that would help us to look at that. All right. And by the way, I wanted to clarify, I think we have one student here. This week is homecoming week, and one of our students, dress is very appropriate for today. It really was. What was the title of today?
It was Fashion Disaster Thursday.
Yes, and as you can tell, this student is normally a fashion plate, but today she is fashion disaster. And
Build down.
Yeah,
great
the-
job, I must say.
Thank you. Yeah.
But yeah, if you could get us that, that'd be great.
Oh, I have a comment about like where we could use cell phones that like the stealing rate wouldn't go up or down. Say like in gym classes, you know how people put their phones in the lockers and they might not lock them up. That makes people like steal their phones. So in study halls, they would have their phones on them. It like the stealing rate wouldn't go up or down, and same thing with lunches. So
Let me ask you a question. Do you really believe that when we say that phones should be in the lockers, that all the phones are in the lockers?
Oh, certainly not.
Okay.
No.
But-
And point well taken. If we could do that, and I think as a safety precaution, it's better to lock things up.
Right,
But
yeah.
more times than not, I think you're like me too. You carry that phone. It's like a safety net almost. But I think we're open to any ideas. And if the